Hey everybody, welcome to Breakfast All Day. It's Christy, it's Alonso. It's another week that we've somehow managed to get through. And of course, lots of stuff happened. So let's dig right in.
Indeed, we're going to begin with some news that happened actually almost a week ago now, and that is the death of Bob Saget.
Yes.
Because we keep feeling reverberations from it, and it's just an outpouring of love for him. He was 65 years old. He was traveling in Florida on his concert tour and was found dead in his hotel room. We don't know the cause of death. Not foul play or drugs. They've ruled that out. It appears that he maybe had a stroke or a heart attack and died in his sleep, which is very sad, but apparently painless, and just this incredible outpouring from the comedy world, television, just regular folks. And the word you keep hearing over and over again to describe him is kind.
Yes.
And he made everybody feel totally loved and appreciated and just better about themselves and their place in the world. Did you watch the video of John Mayer and Jeffrey Ross retrieving his car from the LAX parking lot?
No, I didn't.
So, he flew to LA. He flew at LAX to go to Florida to go do these comedy shows, and his car was still there. And so I didn't realize that this is kind of a random combination of people, but John Mayer and Jeffrey Ross were both really good friends with Bob Saget. And so they went to retrieve his car, and John Mayer posted on his Instagram live, like this 25-minute long video of the two of them going up the 405 in Bob Saget's Prius to bring it home to his family, and just telling stories and crying, and people chiming in with, like, Gilbert Gottfried, people like that chiming in with thoughts. It's very sad, and the thing you keep hearing over and over again is that, yes, he was like, TV's American Dad from Full House and from America's Funniest Home Videos and all that. And of course, in real life, he was a much bluer comic.
Filthy on stage, yes.
Yeah. Of course, his segment in The Aristocrats.
That's all I got is the Aristocrats, because I never watched either of those two shows. So I'm like, oh, that's the guy who took The Aristocrats to a whole other level of a movie that was already beyond the pale.
Right. And what was shocking about that is what a great contrast that was to anybody who knew him just as wholesome TV dad. But everyone who knew him just absolutely loved him. So that is very sad. So Bob Saget, dead at 65. Also this past week, Ronnie Spector died at 78. Very sad. The inspiration for our opening song today. Just a badass in general. And you read about the life that she endured with Phil Spector and her efforts to have her own solo career after the Ronettes. And
when we talk about showbiz survivors, this is the kind of person we're talking about. But she bounced back. She had that amazing, hit with Eddie Money, and got to be around to see herself revered as the goddess that she is.
Right. And an inspiration and a muse and a friend to a lot of people. I didn't realize that Billy Joel's Say Goodbye to Hollywood is a tribute to her. The beginning of it sounds just like Be My Baby.
True.
The doom. Yeah, that sounds just like it, but I didn't realize that song was for her, and she was good friends with Amy Winehouse, which makes some sense in retrospect. So that is very sad. Also, more death news, and I'm going to move on to happy news, I promise. But we know a little bit more about Betty White. Yes. She apparently suffered a stroke on Christmas
Day. Yeah, I saw that,
and then died 6 days later.
Yeah. And then also this week we lost Oscar-winning lyricist Marilyn Bergman, who with her husband Alan wrote a ton of, there's a period there in the 60s, 70s, and 80s where they were the ones who wrote the songs for movies that people remember. They wrote The Windmills of Your Mind, they wrote The Summer Knows, they wrote, It Might Be You from Tootsie. They did all the songs from Yentl, which, won an Oscar for song score. And say what you will about Yentl, No Matter What Happens is a kick-ass coming out anthem. Go back and listen to the lyrics of that song. That is a great coming out song.
Papa Can You Hear Me is very catchy.
Also terrific. Yes. And I love that whole movie. I have no apologies about Yentl. I think it's terrific.
You don't need to be a Yentl apologist.
I won't be. I'll be a Yentl stan.
You can like it on its own terms, unironically.
Yes.
So we have that. All right. The Oscars apparently are going to actually happen. I mean, so much
with a host, with
a live person. March 27th, Sunday, March 27th is the Oscars.
Yes. Where and how, who knows, but I'm just trying to like, they got so much flack last year for displacing so many unhoused people in and around Union Station. I'm wondering if they're trying to find some other place where they can, like, you know, put them in the Staples Center or something, where they're like, everybody's really far apart in clusters, but we're all under one roof, you know.
Do you mean crypto.com arena?
Oh, sorry, crypto.com arena. Yes. Maybe Matt Damon will host.
Because fortune favors the brave. So he's your guy to lead you there into the future.
There you go.
So then the Golden Globes kind of happened.
Yeah, that talk about if the tree falls in a forest.
That was very strange. So the Golden Globes happened this past Sunday. They were not broadcast. There was no red carpet. There was no media covering them. And so somebody from the Golden Globes, I don't know who, an intern, was tweeting out the results. And they were so weird, like the way things were phrased. They were trying to be clever, but it was like, it takes 47 muscles to smile. And Andrew Garfield, you made us smile. But then sometimes they wouldn't even say what the person won for. So like in the Andrew Garfield tweet, they didn't even say the words tick, tick, boom.
My favorite was the West Side Story one. Mm-hmm. First, they tweeted if laughter is the best medicine because it won the music or comedy award. And then they immediately got dragged because like there was nothing funny about West Side Story. And then they changed it to if music is the best medicine. I'm like, no, that's not an expression. No one says that.
No one says that. And like West Side Story is a bummer at the end. Yeah, for all the singing and dancing, like it's still Romeo and Juliet. Bad shit goes down.
Kinda.
Anyway, that was very strange. So that happened. And we had SAG nominations this past week, which were really great for House of Gucci.
Jared Leto just wants his own line. So
he's gonna win again, isn't he? He's gonna win a fucking Oscar again, isn't he?
Oh God, I don't know. Here's the crazy thing: of the 10 lead film acting awards, 7 of them are people playing real people.
They're the luckiest people in the world.
And none of them are Kristen Stewart. So fuck you, SAG. What the hell?
That is a big oversight to not have Kristen Stewart there for what is arguably her best work in Spencer.
And a great performance. Like, I mean, one of the great performances of the year just passed. I mean, is this all Rami Malek's fault? Is this a thing now where everybody's like, oh, I'm going to play me a real person and that's going to be Oscar gold, you know?
Put some fake teeth in.
Boy, yeah, exactly. Boy, with the biopics already. It's like Jessica Chastain for Tammy Faye. And I mean, Jennifer Hudson is fine in respect, but like, come on, you guys.
She sings the hell out of the songs.
She sings the hell out of it.
But again, like the problems with those movies come down to the script.
Well, yes, and I don't want to say that whatever's wrong with these movies is pinned on them. Although I think Jessica Chastain, as we talked about when we reviewed that movie, I think really sort of chickens out from giving you full Tammy Faye because people would just be like, "What are you even doing?" But you know, go take it to the tape. You can see what this woman actually talked like. You know?
Yeah. No, it's I mean, she is channeling Tammy Faye. So so that happened. Again, this award season is wacky, but one thing that keeps popping up is that Drive My Car keeps winning with critics groups. So New York picked it as the best picture. LA picked it as the best picture. And now the vaunted National Society of Film Critics, which I'm not in.
Me neither.
I've never tried though.
I've tried.
Okay.
maybe one day. Who knows?
You're special. We're fancy.
not special enough to get into National Society, apparently. But
anyway, they also like Drive My Car, so they have the same taste we do. Apparently.
Yes, and that's only like the 6th time I think ever, and that all 3 of those groups gave it to the same movie, like Schindler's List, Goodfellas, L.A. Confidential. There's like a handful of them, but it's pretty rare that it's happened. And I mean, LAFCA's been around since 1975, and we're the youngest of the 3 groups.
Okay.
So, you know, it's a pretty major accomplishment to score that particular hat trick.
It is. And those other movies that you name all went on to win Best Picture. No, Goodfellas did not. Schindler's List did.
Schindler's List did. LA Confidential did not. That was the Titanic year.
Oh, right. But like, I don't think that this means anything for Drive My Car.
Oh, no. Again, like, could we please divorce the idea that critics groups are even thinking about the Academy Awards when they give this stuff out. Like I get if you're an Oscar pundit, like you have a hammer and everything is a nail, but like seriously, the last thing on our minds when like speaking for Lafka being in that room is what is the Academy going to do? Can we move the needle for the Academy? That never comes up.
And I think conversely, they're not looking to us for guidance.
No, probably not.
I don't think they're like, ooh, the LA critics liked such and such. We should too. They didn't nominate Tom Hardy for Locke,
for instance. Yeah, no. Look, if anything, I think given the relations between the actual industry and film critics, is probably like, ooh, well, fuck that movie. You know, I don't know. I just a thought. You know.
Anyway, so Drive My Car won picture, director, screenplay, and actor.
Correct.
So anyway.
And National Society agreed with us with Lafka and gave Penelope Cruz Best Actress. I was very excited.
Yes, that is really good. She also did not get a SAG nomination.
Did she qualify? I don't know what the rules are there. It's like when you get to the guilds and you're talking about foreign films, it's like, you know, I'm never sure like who's a member and who qualifies. And because even with like the Writers Guild, there are years where there's some weird thing where like they're not in the group or something, you know, like it's a whole separate qualification issue that I don't understand.
That is a good question. I don't know the answer to either, so I will not try to confuse things more than I do ordinarily.
I don't know if Renata Reince qualified for a SAG award for worst person in the world, you know.
Interesting. Speaking of great acting, we're going to get 2 more red notices. Are you aware that it's the most watched thing ever on Netflix?
Yeah, according to Netflix. Yeah, until Don't Look Up, apparently, which then became the most watched thing ever on Netflix. You know, look, obviously some bean counter decided that this was going to be cost effective and they should do it. And maybe that was the intent all along. But, you know, let's just hope they're better than the first one. That's all I got.
They're expensive, right? Wasn't the first Red Notice like $200 million?
I think it was like supposed to be, I think, the most expensive Netflix production. But I mean, just think of how much it cost to pay those 3 leads.
Yeah.
You know,
and they weren't even happy to be in the same room with each other from the looks of that movie because they had no chemistry with each other.
None. But like, you know, because you know that if you're signing up for Netflix, it's not like you can go, oh, well, I'll take a small salary up front in exchange for back end later. There is no back end. It's Netflix, you know. So
they pay you in prestige. Like what they tell freelancers, we're not going to pay you.
Yeah. To quote our beloved, the late James Rocky, whenever they would say, well, there's no money, but there's exposure. He would say, I'm from Canada and exposure can kill you.
That is good. The Godfather is going to have a theatrical re-release on February 25th. Have you ever seen The Godfather in a theater?
I have. Years ago, I saw 1 and 2 back to back at the New Beverly.
That's really cool.
If February is less, you know, terrifying to go into a theater, I would totally go back for this. And then they're putting out a 4K you know, Blu-ray edition in March, which is also exciting.
Of all three of them.
Yeah.
Yes. So that is coming. Hulu has renewed The Great for season 3. Huzzah. So we'll have to do that, of course.
Yes.
Apple TV Plus has renewed The Morning Show for season 3. So our Patreon schedule is all lined up for us.
Clearly, yes, they're paying attention.
And much more importantly than any of that, there's going to be a Beavis and Butt-head movie on Paramount Plus.
And they're old now.
So, did you love Beavis and Butt-head? I loved them in college.
I think I was maybe out of college by the time they started. I liked them. I thought it was funny, and it actually exposed me to videos I wasn't otherwise seeing on MTV. No, I mean they were funny and they were quotable, and I liked Do America, which just got like a 25th, I think, anniversary Blu-ray release. I haven't been hankering for more necessarily, but like, you know, I generally speaking am down for whatever Mike Judge feels like doing, you know.
So maybe because it was like a formative time in my life culturally with my senior year in college, we watched, my roommate and I watched a lot of Beavis and Butt-head, but there are still videos, like there are songs to this day when they come on the radio. I can hear the Beavis and Butt-head commentary on them. Like, say what you will about Maiden, they don't screw around. So things like that. That's a terrible Butt-head on my part.
Read.
I mean, Nick will put his shirt on his head sometimes. Like, I'm in Cornholio.
I need TV for my bike.
So anyway, so I'm excited about this.
And that's where Daria came from. So if they can like somehow sneak her in as a middle-aged woman, I would be totally down for that.
The Mike Judge cinematic universe is intact. Also, there's a trailer out for the Bob's Burgers movie that's coming out Memorial Day weekend. Are you a Bob's Burgers fan?
I am not. I watched like the first 2 episodes and was kind of like, and I walked away from it. And then within about 2 months, it was like, oh my God, this show's so great. And then I never caught up. So actually my plan now is if I can see this movie, which one never knows these days, at the wrap, we do this thing periodically where like when a movie based on a TV show comes out, because often it's a show I've never seen, I'll do the review from the point of view of somebody who is being exposed to this for the first time and like, does it make any sense to me? And then I'll get a fan of the show to write about it. So like I had a fan of Veronica Mars write about that movie or Entourage or, Detective Pikachu or whatever. So if that comes around and I get to see it, I will have a second critic who is a Bob's Burgers fan and we can compare notes.
That's a really good idea. We love Bob's Burgers around here. It's one of my son's favorite shows.
Oh, cool.
He's seen like every episode. So he's very excited about that. So am I. Also, the trailer came out this week for the Foo Fighters horror comedy Studio 666.
Yes.
I know you don't watch trailers.
I don't watch trailers. I haven't seen it. I know this exists. Actually on Max Film, we talked about it in our news segment that Dave Grohl was already talking it up and was very excited about it. And apparently they're big horror fans. And so this is a thing they're psyched about. So sure, check it out. Why not?
We should review it. I mean, it looks kind of cheesy and bad and dumb. Like they go to a house in Encino to record their latest album. And Bradley Cooper's there. He's just bought a waterbed. No, they go to a house in Encino and then the horrible things happen. But that is that. Jamie Lynn Spears is trying to cash in on her sister's suffering. She's got a memoir out. She's going on shows like Good Morning America to promote it, talking about how Britney really scared her over the years. Britney's behavior was very disturbing over the years.
Well, bless her heart.
Bless her heart, indeed. That's a good Southern way to respond to that. And Britney did respond to it in a long Instagram post talking about how she was always there for Jamie Lynn. Jamie Lynn would have no career if it weren't for her. And she was always kind to her. And then this just feels like exploiting her pain to sell a book.
It does. It seems exactly like that.
Yep. So that is that. John Mulaney's ex. There's a big article, a big interview with her in Harper's Bazaar. Anna Marie Tendler talking about her split from John Mulaney and how surreal it's been. She is like an artist, sort of like a conceptual artist. She went back and got her master's in costume design and has this whole really cool Instagram feed where she's like renovating this house in Connecticut and does these pictures that can best be described as like haunted dollhouse. Like each one is like this tableau where everything is like perfectly meticulously staged and like the costume design and all the cool, just the way things are framed. And anyway, she's finding her own way out of this, but she's been alone in the woods in Connecticut in this house.
That's one way to do it.
It's a very interesting article though. And she seems like a fascinating woman. So she's trying to figure it out. And so now her photos are actually selling like for a lot of money. So this so this thing that was like an outlet for her isolation and her pain is actually a new creative identity for
fun and profit. Okay.
Yeah. Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly are engaged.
Yes. I read a weird thing and I don't know if it's true or not. Something about blood. Is that a real thing or no?
What was the thing about blood?
I don't want to say it out loud if it's not true, but it was very weird. Okay. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, then
I don't, but
we'll drop it.
But they're odd, so it could be anything. I guess he proposed to her under the same tree where he first met her. Anyway, they met while making a movie that was terrible called Midnight in the Switchgrass.
Okay.
And so it was instant sparks on the sad end of relationships. And it's sad news for all hot people. Jason Momoa and Lisa Bonet are divorcing.
That one hurts.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like if they can't make it,
Yeah.
inordinately beautiful people, like what hope is there for the rest of us who are just regular hot? Or mortal in some way.
Well put. Yes.
So anyways, they've been together for 16 years and married for 4. Anyway, so that's very sad. And finally for you, I have Clay Aiken is running for Congress again out of North Carolina. Those of you who did not follow American Idol in the early seasons when it was still novel and exciting, Clay Aiken came in second.
The second season.
Studdard from season 2.
Yeah.
And
is he running as a Democrat?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Oh, very much so. Yeah, because
good.
he feels like, so he ran 2014 for the first time and he lost. And he realizes that like in the world in which we now live, people associate his home state of North Carolina with Republicans like Mark Meadows and Madison Cawthorn.
Jesse Helms, if you want to really dig.
Right. We'll go real, yeah. But he says that it's a lot more open-minded and educated in North Carolina than it gets, credit for being. And he has friends who are gay who don't feel comfortable coming to see him in North Carolina. And he lives in like that Research Triangle part.
I was going to say the Research Triangle is there. Raleigh, Durham, and Duke is there, and UNC, Chapel Hill. I mean, like, yeah, there's, look, people like to paint the South with a very broad brush, but like I grew up in Georgia, and it's like, there's a very big difference between, being in Atlanta and then suddenly being not in Atlanta, but there are there are pockets of, there are college towns, there are places throughout where people who are more open-minded and more progressive tend to gather. And so those areas, deserve, appropriate representation, and good luck to Aiken if that's what he's trying to do for where he's running.
There you go. Clay Aiken, his cover of On the Wings of Love, still haunting.
Missed that one. Okay.
Did you ever hear, and his first song, Invisible, is so cheesy. Like do you remember his first song?
I don't. It's weird. Like once Idol was over, I kind of unplugged from him. But it's funny because this is a long story, but I went to the press conference after American Idol and basically tried to get him to come out. I was working for the Advocate at the time, and he just kind of like asked another question, and then he referenced that later when he came out to Diane Sawyer. You're talking about some reporter right after American Idol asked me blah blah blah, and I was like, that was me. I was some reporter.
Yay! I tried to help you, nudge you lovingly out of the closet. And look at him now. Look how happy he is now.
Yeah, it was probably a dick move at the time, but it was the job. What can I tell you?
Anyway, Clay Aiken's out and proud, and he'd like your vote. So that's it. That's all I have for news.
Okie doke. Golly. Well, that was, look, Sundance is about to happen. Things are going to get crazy, and lots of acquisitions happening and whatnot, even though it's all happening virtual this year. So plenty to come in the upcoming week. So thanks everybody for watching. Like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us at BeFastAllDay on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and check out our Patreon at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. You get videos like this with no commercial interruption. You get our TV recaps. Right now we are paging our way through the book of Boba Fett, with some other fun stuff coming up soon, and our off the menu feature. We're actually doing 2 this month. We had one all set to go on Peter Bogdanovich, and then Sidney Poitier passed away. It was like, well, we couldn't not have one for him. So today we're talking about What's Up, Doc, and then next week we'll be talking about whatever winds up winning our Poitier poll, and only our subscribers get to vote, and only our subscribers get to hear those reviews. So become one today at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. Have a good week. Take care of yourselves and each other. We'll see you next time.
Bye.